Welcome to Bed Crime Stories podcast. I'm your host, T, and if true crime is your jam, and like me you enjoy delving into unsolved cases, trying to figure out who done it, please consider subscribing. Also, if you enjoy my videos, please hit that like button. I'm going to talk today about two topics. The first has to do with some disturbing text messages that Candace Bly allegedly sent out to various YouTube creators yesterday. Among those who received the text were Dolly Vision, Benny Keys, Ernie Shell, and I'm not sure who else. Candace's text to Dolly Vision stated that she was planning to end her life. Some people thought that this was perhaps a reaction to the body that was found yesterday in Bristol, Tennessee. I'm not sure if that could be the case. We know that that body turned out to be an adult male. Apparently, some people reached out to Candace's mother, Candy Har. Har relayed to them that Candace is fine. Dolly Vision, during his live, called the police to report the disturbing text, and they said they would follow up, although I don't think Candace is living at 110 Ben Hill Road right now. She supposedly is staying with Ernie Shell's former girlfriend. Who knew? Now, whether this was a prank done by Candace or not, it needs to be taken seriously. My feeling is that Candace should be under the care of a therapist right now. She should be in rehab. She should be actively working on herself. No matter what happened to Summer, Candace is likely suffering without any of her family members at home with her. Unless Candace is cold as ice, she's suffering on some level, and she must be looking at her life and wondering where she's going to go from here, without a job, without any skills that I'm aware of, without her kids, without Don. Candace must be feeling pretty vulnerable. Don't get me wrong, my efforts are for Summer, and Summer is the victim here. But there's no win in Candace Bly taking her life. Her boys will be further traumatized, and if she's removed from the puzzle that is the Summer Wells case, we may never find out Summer's fate. Okay, on to my next topic. The Wells' former neighbor, Jodi Sue Brown, has been the subject of many videos and lives of late. Jodi Sue has been on YouTube since the start of the Wells case, posting videos about Summer, about Beach Creek, and about her troubled relationship with her ex, Andy Bernard. Jodi Sue has been very vocal about the DV she says she suffered at the hands of Bernard, a man she's referred to as the monster and Voldemort. Jodi Sue has also been in the limelight of late because of claims that her 19-year-old son Damien was spotted snooping around the Wells property by several people who were there helping Candace at the time. One of those witnesses came out to say that the story is true, and that Jodi Sue was down the Wells driveway at the time honking her car horn. Allegedly, after some of the people gave chase to Damien, they found him down there standing near his mother on Ben Hill Road, and Jodi Sue told them that Damien was simply picking up the mail. You probably already know that story. Jodi Sue also appeared on WJHL, claiming that she and her two children heard a scream on the afternoon of June 15th, 2021. Jodi Sue is one of law enforcement's key witnesses for June 15th, so she has to be considered in Summer's case. She has to be looked into. Jodi Sue doesn't like that, but it is what it is. No one involved in the case is above suspicion. Sorry. Piper of the YouTube channel Crowdsourced Illuminations, or CSI for short, did a nearly 9-hour live panel discussion on Memorial Day, in which she shared information gleaned from conversations she had with Andy Bernard about 6 months ago. For all this time, Piper's been sitting on the information, not sure if she should share it. Finally, however, she said she felt the moment was right. She believes, and I do too, that Bernard's information may help round out the portrait we have of life on Ben Hill Road and the characters living there. Piper said that Andy Bernard, at least to her, was kind and not quick to be accusatory or spiteful, even when he discovered that she lied to him about recording the calls. Even then, Piper said he didn't rip into her, which does show some degree of restraint, in my opinion. Piper also describes Andy as someone who doesn't talk much, so that when he does say something, it's meaningful. Among the panelists were Scott H., Squaltit, Penny, Cam and Allie of Cracking Cases, Shay's Safe Place, Ziggy, and a woman who goes by the name of Chicken on a Stick. The latter is someone who apparently lives in the Wells neck of the woods and knows Jodi Sue, Andy Bernard, and their extended families. Scott H., Squaltit, and Chicken on a Stick, and Shay's Safe Place chimed in whenever Piper shared something that Andy said that they had also heard or been told. So there was a certain degree of corroboration, that's a hard word to say, corroboration going on. Andy Bernard is someone who's stayed mum throughout the past year. He doesn't have a YouTube channel, and he hasn't appeared on panels. He didn't come out and sling mud back at Jodi Sue when she verbally shredded him in front of their 2 kids, which could be viewed as an attempt to alienate the children from their father. But I'm not here to weigh in on Jodi Sue's allegations of DV against Andy Bernard. I just want to share what Piper has said Andy Bernard told her. Piper made it clear that what she shared is hearsay. She also said she can't know with any certainty if what Andy Bernard told her is true. So we have to take all of this once again with a grain of salt. Personally, I believe that Andy Bernard deserves to be heard, especially if he wants to share his side of the story. Of course, Jodi Sue is not happy about that, and she's been in attack mode ever since. One of her patterns is to attack anyone who dares to question her, her kids, and even Bernard. I've listened to many of her lives, and a couple of times when I've asked her a question she didn't like about Andy, she'd kind of let me have it. She wasn't gentle or thoughtful. It was pretty much a verbal slap down. Her manner of slapping at people asking questions is a way to intimidate them so that they eventually shut down and stop asking her the tough questions. Anyone who's watched the case for very long has seen Jodi Sue's many attacks against Michelle of Michelle Walks and Michelle After Dark. When Michelle dared to talk about Jodi Sue and her son Damien, Jodi Sue came for Michelle big time. And Jodi Sue's fierce protector, Tiffany Marie, has been right there at her side, also attacking anyone who dares to question Brown or critique her. In my opinion, Tiffany has gotten too close to Jodi Sue because she can't seem to question her now or to look at her with a critical eye. She's too close to her at this point to really step back and be able to analyze it. The truth of the matter is, if you really want to be a web sleuth, you have to look at all those involved and associated with Summer's disappearance, just like law enforcement has to do. If you become allies with someone who's a person of interest and you 100% buy into everything that person says, then you're shutting yourself off from considering all the possibilities, all the theories, all the persons of interest. Remember, Sheriff Lawson said everyone is still a person of interest. Jodi Sue should not get a free pass because of her history with Bernard and her illness. Sorry, but those things do not make her untouchable. Jodi Sue was there on June 15th when Summer vanished, and she said some things that do make you wonder what else she might know about Summer's disappearance and if she's possibly protecting people who might be involved. So I thought I'd share some of the key stories and details that Andy Bernard allegedly told Piper. Again, these are his claims. We don't know if everything he said is true or not. So let's dig in. Story number 1. According to Andy, Jodi Sue was given internal radiation therapy for her cancer. At some point after her treatment, Jodi Sue and Andy allegedly had physical relations. Wink, wink. Andy then claims to have come down with some red blister-like marks on a certain part of his body. Wink, wink once again. According to Andy, he went to his doctor to get it checked out, and when the doctor heard about Jodi Sue's radiation treatment, he diagnosed Andy with radiation burns. According to Piper, Andy told her that Jodi Sue never told him that she was supposed to limit contact with him and their kids for a certain period of time after the radiation treatments so as not to expose them to radiation. Jodi Sue allegedly may also have been around her 2 children after the treatments, possibly exposing them. So if that story's true, the behaviors of not heeding the doctor's warnings and not protecting your partner and your kids from potential radiation exposure, well, those are pretty reckless behaviors. For Jodi Sue, who prides herself on being intelligent, this is a fairly egregious slip-up, wouldn't you say? If this is true, why would she not take those warnings seriously? Was she feeling so sick after the treatments that she didn't want to bother isolating from her loved ones? The only people who can tell us for sure if this story is true are Jodi Sue, Andy, their kids, and the doctor. But the doctor's not talking. But there is a structure on Bernard's property that Andy says he purchased for Jodi Sue after finding out about the need for a period of isolation after the radiation. That structure supports Andy's story. They put a bed in the structure for Jodi Sue. And in fact, Jodi Sue, in some of the videos she made about the day Summer went missing, talks about being in the structure with her kids that day, with the door open, talking and laughing. Being in the structure and being on that particular part of the hill where she describes how they heard much of the goings-on in Beach Creek is why Jodi Sue said she and her kids heard the screams so clearly. So I think there's some truth to the story. Now, story number 2, let's move on. Apparently Jodi Sue's son, Damien, had 2 cats that died on the same day, September 6, 2021, which also happens to be the day that Andy Bernard evicted Jodi Sue from his property. Just FYI, Jodi Sue and Andy Bernard have been partners for 25 years, but they've never been married. Apparently, Damien posted on his Facebook about the cats dying, and then Jodi Sue followed up by sharing a photo on her Facebook where there are 2 crosses for the cats with the cats' names on them. Now, everyone's finding it strange that these 2 cats died on the same day, and that it was coincidentally the day that Jodi Sue was evicted. The kids also left with her. So it's just odd. Like, did they do something to the cats? I don't know. Is it a possibility? Maybe. Why would 2 pets die suddenly on the same day? Were they run over by the same car? It's just very odd. Andy also told Piper that he'd been planning to evict Jodi Sue for more than a year, but that when she was diagnosed with cancer, he didn't want to be the guy who doesn't stand by his partner. So he postponed ending their relationship to support Jodi Sue as she battled the disease. However, after Summer vanished, Andy said he decided he needed to move forward, and that's when he evicted her. Now, Jodi Sue has always talked about escaping her monster, running away from Andy Bernard by moving away and finding another place to live. So that's kind of a different story than the one Bernard is telling about evicting her, which tells me that one of the 2 of them is lying. The panelist also mentioned that Jodi Sue allegedly pretended to have leukemia for a time before she actually came down with real cancer. If that's true, you have to wonder if Jodi Sue is someone who often paints herself as the victim to get sympathy. Again, this is just hearsay, but I find it hard to believe that many people would make this stuff up about Jodi Sue. Why would they? There's no benefit to trash talking anybody. Not really. You can say it's for clicks and views, but I don't buy into that because I don't think that many people would make up the same story and make it up just for clicks and views. The discussion then shifted to Frank Light. Frank Light is somebody living in Beach Creek who was found to have images of children, not nice images of children, on a thumb drive. Now, Shay's Safe Place said that she's been a victim of Frank Light and that she'd had some sort of encounter with him, and that there are other victims of Frank Light in the area as well. One of the alleged victims is named Barb, and Barb has a son named Mike. Now, apparently, Jodi Sue named her cats Barb, or at least one of her cats was named Barb, and then she later changed the cat's name to Mike. Now, I don't know if Jodi Sue thought the cat was a female and then found out it was a male, and that's why she changed the name. What Shay's Safe Place was saying was that Jodi Sue was mocking this alleged victim by calling her cat Barb, and then when she changed the name, she chose Barb's son's name, Mike. So if that's true, and Jodi thinks it's funny to give her cats the names of some of Frank Light's alleged victims, that's pretty sick stuff. There's nothing humorous about SA, in my opinion. The panelists make it sound as if Jodi Sue has some sort of friendship or alliance with Frank Light. Again, that's allegedly, we don't know. Another name that came up during the live was Randy Haas. In case you haven't heard of this guy, he too is an RSO from the Rogersville area, and apparently Andy Bernard once allowed Haas to use his Wi-Fi at his property just across the street from 110 Ben Hill Road, where Summer Wells lived, and Bernard and Brown's minor daughter may have been in the house, I'm not sure, when this Haas person came over. I personally can't believe how many RSOs are living around 110 Ben Hill Road. That is one thing that Don and Candace told the truth about, and it's mind-boggling how many of them are right there in Beach Creek. So I'm going to end it here for today. If you want to hear the whole 8.5-hour discussion, I'll leave a link to it in the description. Until the next time on Bed Crime Stories, now please do me a favor, hit that like button. You can also support my channel if you care to by leaving a donation on your comment. That's a new feature of YouTube.